All right. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to eCafe. We'll wait for people to hop in here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. For those who are coming on for the first time, eCafe is a place where we get to hang out, kind of talk about the sermon, what we just talked about, what we just heard, and just connect and see how each other are doing. If you're new here, go ahead and put in the chat where you're from. Evie, always the first one up. Evie's always the first one. Always. Welcome, 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 Evie. And as you are hopping on, we have some... Oh, hello, Marie. Well, hello, hello, hello. As we're hopping on here, I'm going to put some on the screen for you guys to kind of vibe with. As you're hopping on, we want to hear how you guys are doing, you know, what your week was like. I want you guys to kind of debrief and decompress what your week was like. And we want to do a little segment that we always do, and it's called Give Us the Highlights. Give us the highlights. We want to hear what you guys are going through, what was a big win in your week. So go ahead and put in the chat what your highlight is. And as you guys are doing that, we have some special guests here. We have our very own Everly. Hello, Everly. Hello.
Hi, who is that? Everly, who is that? Who is that?
Everly is our first guest on here.
Oh, yeah, good job.
Cover your mouth.
Good job.
Very good.
She has been talking. She was like, DQ, Pastor DQ. So Hera had the idea to just leave her on and see what happens, but it didn't work. We're going to put our headphones on.
Go ahead, do your thing. Do your thing. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Osegueras. Let's see how everyone's doing. Regina, Ola Familia, love the sermon. Pastor Dave, thank you, thank you, thank you. Praise God. Praise God, praise God, praise God. I don't appreciate this post. Hey, Dave from the beach at Sanibel Island. Man,
Wow.
I don't know where that is, but it's an island. And
It's
it
in
sounds
Florida,
awesome.
I think.
Is it?
They went to Florida? No, they were in New Jersey.
There is a Sanibel Island in Florida.
Someone look up Sanibel Island. Let me look it up really quick. Sanibel
No, let
Island.
someone else look at it.
Where is Sanibel Island? Sanibel Island.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's in Florida.
I believe you. I've never been
Sanibel Island Beach Resort. Man, they went on a trip down south to
Wow.
Florida.
Oh yeah, it
Florida.
says kid free. Oh man, what's that?
Man, kid free. Good grief. All right, Everly, we have some fans of yours. We have first fan is Nikki.
Take this off and
Another fan is
Hey,
Marie.
Nikki said hi to you. Can you say hi, Nikki?
And says, hey, Everly. Evie is also saying hi, Everly.
Evie, hi,
Same
Nikki.
with Leilani.
Hi,
Say-
Nikki.
Hi.
She talks about everyone
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. She really does. She'll just start naming random people, and then when it's time to actually see them, look, Cecile says hi.
Cecile says hi. Let's pull that up. Cecile says Florida. Leilani says hi, Everly. Let's see. Cecile says hi, Everly. Regina says hi, Everly. Everly, you are a star. That's what you are.
Look at her. Hey.
All right, for those who are joining us, who are hopping on here, we want to see and hear about some highlights. So give us the highlights. Tell us about your week. Tell us what's going on. What's something that is exciting you this week, and we want to hear about it. Let's see the first one. Regina says we'll be having a bonfire near the river at our summer home this evening. Y'all need to come down sometime. Well, Regina, turns out you have some competition with a local area here. Bolingbrook Church also has a bonfire. We also have a bonfire this evening at 7:30 p.m. Isn't that right, David?
Yes.
Yeah, 7:30 p.m. bonfire.
Let me see if I can show it on the screen here.
Bonfire. I called it a bomb fire, but it's a bonfire.
Let's see. Let's make sure you guys are informed. This is our bonfire for the evening. You guys can see that. Let's see here. Put it on the screen. Church bonfire, s'mores and hot dogs. We're calling it Church on Fire. Just because, God forbid that ever happens. And if it does happen
Or
by the Lord's will.
insurance money.
Yeah, make sure no one's in the building. June 12th. That's today at 7:30 p.m. Bring, a lawn chair if you want to. Bring some lawn games. We have s'mores ready. We have lots of chocolates. We have a variety of chocolates. We have like the what do you call it? Cookies and cream. We have Reese's. We have Hershey's. Actually, put in the chat what's your favorite go-to s'mores filling besides the marshmallow. S'mores filling. Some people like Hershey's. Some people like the Reese's. What do you guys like in your s'mores?
I don't like s'mores.
What?
Excuse me.
It's too messy. I don't like the messiness of it all.
You don't like s'mores at all?
What?
I'm not a marshmallow guy. Did you not know that?
I knew you didn't like Jello.
I don't like marshmallows. Like, I'm not a fan.
You know what? I don't know if we've ever had s'mores.
Yeah. Well, we didn't grow up with s'mores because we're Mexican. So that was something. And I didn't learn about that until much later in life, and it just wasn't something. Yeah, Leilani's asking, crown it or frown it on s'mores. I'm gonna frown it. I mean, I'm not a hater. I just don't like. I don't. I'm looking forward to the hot dogs.
Can I tell you? I don't even really like chocolate, but I like s'mores.
Yeah.
I know.
Guys, it's a real problem. I have a bad sweet tooth, and I should say a good sweet tooth. It's a good sweet tooth. It's a very healthy sweet tooth. It's a strong sweet tooth. That's what it really is.
Well, and so the trick to a good s'more is how brown is your marshmallow.
That's right. How toasted. Well, what's your technique? Do you have a technique of putting the marshmallow like over the fire?
Yes.
Into the...
No, I do actually. I haven't done it in a long time. No, I try to get it on the embers so that it's like toasted. I don't like to catch it on fire.
I catch it on. So I'll toast it. I'll get it brown, and then I'll catch it on fire. And then while it's on fire, I'll put it on the chocolate so it melts the chocolate. And it's perfect.
Smart.
Evie crowns. She definitely crowns s'mores.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, speaking of Evie, she's part of a ministry team here at Bolingbrook Church called the Sabbath Cafe team. She says the real Sabbath Cafe needs volunteers. Let us know if you would like to be a part of our wonderful ministry. Yes, please. Guys, if you are interested in being part of Sabbath Cafe, contact Samantha Kilatan, that's my sister, or Evie Rodriguez. She's one of the members there. And they would be happy to plug you in. They could use some help. And if you're willing, I mean, we just heard a sermon about taking a step and stepping up. So yeah, if you guys want to volunteer, please do. Please do.
Yeah. Dave, what's the highlight of your week?
This dog. We've been taking care of Jeff Fish's dog. This is her
so
crate.
cool.
It's a really heavy duty crate. It's
Okay,
like
can I tell you, at first when I saw that, I thought it was a crib. And I was just like, okay. And then I was like, no, they're like really stylish, so they probably, it's some like mid-century modern furniture piece that I don't like know what it is or something.
Do you guys want to see it? Everly. Leia. She's sleeping. So she's awake all night long, and then she sleeps during the day. It's very strange.
That is strange.
All right, so Evie crowns s'mores. Cecile says she does not like it. She hates being sticky. Marshmallows are only good when melted on Rice Krispie treats.
That is true. Actually, I didn't realize my sister does that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I don't like them. I'm like Tyler. Did you see what Marie said? Tyler's with me. I prefer. I also prefer I'm okay with the graham cracker and the chocolate. Like I actually been eating those at the church this last week, but not the marshmallow.
So if we run out,
That's too funny. Regina says everyone should experience a bonfire at least once in their lives. It's great. Hey, you guys have taken s'mores to a new level with fancy flavors. They're super sweet. I like roasting marshmallows and grilling food. So do I. I love the outdoors. I love the outdoors. Anne is hating on my technique.
Yeah.
Catching marshmallows on fire equals frowning. No. If you look at any s'mores like picture. Look at any s'mores picture, and there is some char on the marshmallow.
Well, yeah, but like any other food, do you want it like charred like that? Then you're just like, it's like you're just eating fire. Like
and that's all right, and that's okay. That's okay. Robbie says his highlight is his credit score moved up to 750.
Yay! Yes.
Man, that's an accomplishment. Robbie's only like what 21, 20. And his credit score is 750. This guy has a full-time job with benefits.
He's
He
ready
bought
to
his
get
own
married.
car. Yeah, he's ready to get married, I would say. Some would say. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I probably would say that.
Mommy, don't
Let's see.
Regina. Yeah, Dave and Nikki have a crib in their apartment.
Let's start a room. How dare you? How dare you? Don't do that. Don't do that. They are doggy sitting. Yes, she's over here. She's sleeping in the hallway. She's a bum.
Aw.
But Jeff Fish and Sarah are, and the kids are vacationing in Florida, and they asked if we
Nice.
could take care of the dog, and we're like, hey,
Man, everyone's going to Florida.
I
Maybe we should go
know.
to
Okay,
Florida.
this guy's never been to Florida ever.
dude, it's where the
What?
real Disney is.
So the only reason is when you're from California, you don't have to escape to another state to get sun. So I think that's what it is, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah. I mean, why? Yeah.
Like there's no other reason other
Well,
than just.
and
never
why
have
would
to
you go to the
Florida.
beaches in Florida are better because you can actually get in the water.
True.
Um,
But in California, people get in the water.
yeah, because they're crazy.
Yeah, you get used to it. So, yeah. So Dave, that's your highlight of your week. So has this made you want to get a dog?
100%, yeah. I'm not sure if Jeff and Sarah are watching, but there's a chance they might not get their dog back tomorrow. The only thing is she sheds so much.
Oh yeah.
Like I have a
can't
huge
handle
bag filled with her
Yes.
her shed.
I can't handle that.
I know we had a husky when I was growing up, and we used to always say that like we should just collect it all and like stuff pillows with it. Like
Mm-mm.
you know, I mean, yeah, like it was
I
just
know
as
what you- I know
kids,
what
it's
you're
just
saying.
funny to say that.
I got you. I got you.
Leilani is perplexed. Who's never been to Florida? How did you get to see? How would you get to see the real? It is the real Disney. It's the
Okay,
original
first of all, it's not the real Disney. I believe that what everyone says that Walt Disney World, whatever in Florida, is better. That's 100% probably true. I've never been
It's
there.
just bigger.
But it's not the original.
It's not
And
the
I
original.
like original. So
Wait, is California the original?
Yeah, it was the first
Yeah.
one.
That's when he lived in Anaheim.
hmm
So that's all. But I also don't care that much.
But I think the reason he moved to Florida is because when he opened it, he didn't get all the land around it. So like when you're at Disneyland, if you go like up in the air or whatever, it's like you just see the city. Whereas like like on Tower of Terror, it's like you look out and you see the city. But if you're at Disney World, when you're on Tower of Terror, you look out
You see
and all
Disney-
you see is
Disney World.
Disney. Like
That's
you're in
true.
the Disney bubble. Like at Disneyland, there's not a Disney bubble.
Well, in a couple decades, that might be underwater, so they might have to disperse out of Florida. That joint is deep underneath the ocean. Jeff Fish's brother John says Maddie and Nate will fight you to get Leia back
Oh,
if they could find us.
I had a really bad joke that I'm not gonna say right now about this. So, all right, Kara, what's the highlight of your week?
I don't know. It's been a good week. Been outside some. Okay, so the highlight of my week was I've been doing yoga some at night, like just like a quick like 10-minute kind of whatever. So I'm not like an expert. I would never say that. I'm not even like advanced or what like I mean I can do the stretches, but so I convinced David to do it with me. And he's like, "Oh, if you can do it, I can do it." And it was just like it made me feel better about myself. So
Why?
thanks for doing it with me.
Yeah,
So
I have no stretch.
I put a crown or a frown at yoga / extreme stretching. 'Cause that's
Okay.
what
Well,
yoga
and so like
is.
you could pick like a beginner or intermediate. And so I asked him, I was like, I've been doing the intermediate ones, like, and because I've over the years like gone to lots of yoga classes, and I used to love doing that, but it's it's too hard now. I don't even know if they're doing yoga again. I'm sure they are, but and so he was like, "Oh yeah, if you can do intermediate, just do whatever you normally do. I can keep up. Don't worry about me."
Well, apparently I can't. I don't have very much stretch.
I was.
Uh,
Your legs
couldn't
like-
do it 'cause
your
I
legs
was
just go like
laughing.
this.
no, my left side I could stretch well. My left leg, but everything on the right side, like
Well, that's a normal thing.
I could,
to have
but
one
it
side
was
that's
so
more
yeah. But
normal.
it taught me that I want to do more of it. So,
Yeah.
Have you ever done
Because
Bikram
listen,
yoga?
No, but guess what? I felt
No.
good this morning.
Right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
feel
no,
good.
you do feel good. So Bikram yoga, have you heard of it?
No.
Bikram yoga is hot yoga, so they heat the room up to like
no.
109 degrees. I did it one time when I
No
was
way.
like in community college. That was I thought that was the closest to death I felt.
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
Spontaneous combustion. That's what it felt like. So crown or frown it, yoga or extreme stretching
No
because
way,
they are
I
the
could
same
not.
thing.
I could not.
Regina says, "Crown for yoga, great stretches. I hear hot yoga is amazing." I felt good after. I just felt like I was dying during.
Does it make you just like sweat everything out?
Oh,
or
it's
something?
yeah.
See,
I'm
but
sweating.
I like the sauna.
I like
You
that.
would like
I
that.
love.
I
Oh well, I
can't
don't think I
handle-
could do yoga, but I could. Yeah.
I can't handle saunas or anything like that. I don't like feeling like that. Oh no thanks.
Anne says, "Stretching as you get older is invaluable."
Yeah.
Do
Ask
it.
Tom Brady.
Do I do it though? Anderson is crowning it for extreme stretching. I've done hot yoga.
Yeah, I like it. I think I need it. So can I get my highlight? Can I get some? Since I haven't been on here, I keep forgetting to jump on here.
Well, you're taking
is
care of
it?
the kid, man.
No, I know it's more important. But I ran 10 miles on Sunday.
Whoa.
Early because so it was in the middle of the afternoon. I got my little water pack and I went for it, and that was a highlight because I hadn't been doing long runs recently, and so that was good.
Man, I don't know how people run. I know it's like part of our nature to run. I just have flat feet, and so like it's really hard to.
Me too.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Do the insoles help that much?
So can I tell you, I stopped using insoles to run in.
Really?
And not on purpose, anyway, I'll talk to you about it later. But I forgot there's people watching. But yeah, no. I just started going for it, and so it hasn't been bad. I don't know. But yeah, it was fun.
I can't do it. All right, let's see. Anderson crowns it. Cecile crowns it. Evie crowns it. Regina comments, "Notice more senior folks often say 'I hear' rather than 'I do.'" That's so true, man. Like I'm starting to say I hear this about this and not I get to do this. 'Cause a lot of times I just don't like to do things.
Yeah.
Not extreme though. I stretch every morning while praying after my Bible reading. Oh, that's cool. I like
That's
that.
cool. Yeah.
Ann is congratulating you 10 miles. Yo, I can't even. I used to run with Nikki in college, and around Andrews is what, 3 miles, I think?
And that's a mile and a half, I think.
A mile and a half? So Nikki and I would try to do it twice. Nikki, back in her heyday in college, she would have to run up. She would run ahead of me, and then I would be so far behind, she would come back down to get me, and then like run with me up, and then I would stop again, and she would do it. So she would run probably like 3+ miles at least every week.
Yeah. Regina, I run on the gravel.
Ooh,
On the
is that good for you?
Not gravel, but like the dirt. It's softer. Like I can tell you that, like it's a mile to the gravel to the path where I go out here in Naperville, and there's a noticeable difference from concrete to going onto the softer like dirt, because as soon as I come back off of it to run home, my body feels it worse. So yeah,
That's
there's a
true.
difference.
It's super high impact when it's on when you're on tarmac.
Crushed limestone is good. All right. Cecile's like my running coach. I got to see her this week, like every day at the hospital, and she kept giving me tips and trails. So I'm trying to convince people to run with me my 40 miler in October.
Well,
Kara, how many miles are you running?
Carol, why are you making that face when he said?
Here's the thing. I totally believe in him. I know he can do it. I have zero interest in running at all, really. I think I used to try to be like, yeah, I'm a runner. You know, I'm not going to fake it anymore.
I'm just not built for it.
I don't care. I'm not a runner.
Anderson, and put up Anderson's comment, then I want to stop talking about myself. Yes, the Tarahumara, I read that book. That's what got me going more into my Mexicanity.
Yeah, you're really,
Mexicanity.
see, it's in your DNA.
It's in my DNA.
You're Mexicanity. I've never heard that before.
Are you a Mexican or a Mexican?
Mexicans. Dude, so little known fact, this is like anthropology. We can outrun any animal on Earth.
What?
So we have the longest endurance. I mean, that's how people used to hunt back in the day.
Like
They would just outrun them.
endurance wise,
Mhm.
not speed wise.
Yeah, not speed wise, but we can
Oh,
we can outrun
yeah.
any other animal on Earth.
Oh, because
So they
animals
would-
just go like in bursts.
Well, they like even the long distance ones. We would we would hunt them down, and every time they would run, they would look back, and the humans are still behind them hunting them. So we would just basically outpace all these animals, and that's how we survived for such a long time. So it's in human beings' blood to run.
Wow.
I like it.
It's so natural.
That's right.
Carrie, you can bring the snacks and hydration. That's what Tom does for me.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, David, I know you don't want to talk about yourself, but that's something interesting is this 40 miler. Can you talk more about what your idea is? What helps you? Because maybe we can get some people to aid you on this this journey.
So I've always run. I mean, I don't have a runner's body, but I've always been a runner. I'm like an ox, right? Like I can run forever. And I started when I was in the 7th grade. When my brother was doing football, he would take me out and we would run stadiums and stuff like that. So I've always run. I've always enjoyed it. And I've always wanted to do what they call an ultra marathon, which is typically 50, but I think it's anything over 40. Yeah. And I'm turning 40 in October. And so I've always kind of had this, I want to do 40 miles for my 40th birthday. And so I started training better this week. So been cutting out food that causes inflammation as much as possible. Just drinking more water. Yes, more. So really what I realize is for me, and there's all sorts of spiritual applications. Like I did this thing last night, this little podcast on Instagram with this guy from New Jersey, and he was asking spiritual implications for running. And I realized there's so much. I mean, the discipline, right? There are things that I have to cut out of my life if I want to be able to do 40 miles. Because the thing is this, it's not mentally I can do it. It's can my body hold up? That's really the thing. But there's I can't be eating French fries, right? Or fried chicken or overly processed foods because that causes more inflammation in my body. And I feel it when I'm out there. So, there's things we got to cut out in our spiritual life. So that we can be healthier. And then what every single, and this is true about life, I think over the last 14 months, every ultra runner will say, you just have to reconfigure your relationship with pain because they said your body is going to hurt. And all of the training says you have to do back-to-back long runs to get comfortable with feeling pain. So do 10 miles 2 days in a row, do 15 miles 2 days in a row, just so that your body gets used to feeling the fatigue and the pain and stuff like that. So I think that's life though, right? And kind of, I think, and kind of circle back to your sermon, we keep being the traces of God wherever we go. And so even in a pandemic year, there was just so much things we couldn't control. And so we had to learn to get used to the discomfort, right? And that's running. And I think if we wait to be the image of God, or if we wait to give the traces of God's presence when we're happy, when we're filled with joy, when we have peace, it's never going to happen. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We can't just wait for it to happen. You have to just continue to do that. Yeah. And so that's what, and I think I want to kind of circle back to your sermon. I really because when you told me the title, I was like, I don't how does that make sense? Traces and space. Well, no. I mean, I know what the word meant. And I was like, how is he going to? And I didn't edit your sermon, so I kind of scrubbed through it at times. But I was like, I don't know where he's going with this. Because we didn't really talk about it that much. Yeah. And so then when I was listening this morning, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And I think you're right. It's, I think people often, and I want to kind of hear in the comments here, but I think sometimes we just want to make a big difference in people's lives. And sometimes God is just being like, yo, you don't have to make a big difference. Just leave traces of who I am, where I go. Where you go, I don't know. What do you think, Kara?
Mm-hmm. I don't like being put on the spot. No, I thought it was really good. And no, okay. So we had an experience this weekend, and it really made me think about that. And it really connected to what we were talking about 2 weeks ago. We were talking about being neighborly, and because so Everly and we were outside, and we have a neighbor right next to us. We share a little side yard, and she's always out there with her dog. So we wave, we say hi. But, I've never really talked to her. We've talked about oh yeah, Everly's growing up, just basic kind of stuff. And so, but she was like, oh wait, cause we were getting in the car to go somewhere. And she's like, wait, right there. I have something to give you. And for her. And I was like, okay. And so she runs in and she brings out this little stuffed animal, and she had made it. And it looked like legit.
Aw.
Like it wasn't like, you know, like some homemade stuffed animals. You're like, oh, thanks. But you're like, this is where kids
Are you
get
sure
nightmares
that's a
from.
dog?
You know, yeah. It's like this is where kids get nightmares. You know, I was like, no, but it was like so cute, and everyone loved it, and she's been carrying around. And it like our thought was just like it was so meaningful to us. But then it was like, oh man, like we should have been the ones to do something first. You know, like we should have been the ones to reach out and to like make some small little impact. You know, to just like you're saying, like leave those little traces in this like little space of, you know, a condo complex that we didn't want to spend more than a year at, you know. So
yeah, like there's always something that we can do. Like we neglect the small things because like I don't know what it is. Like maybe the chat can answer this. Why is it in this culture we think we have to be audacious, like things have to be huge in order to make a difference? But like that's just not true. Like I've heard countless stories of people saying like they were on the edge of taking their life and someone just called them or sent them a text, and something so small made such a big difference. And we think that we have to do something massive in order to make a difference. But yeah, I don't know. I think for Esther, yeah, that was a big move, but like I think I don't know. I honestly, if I trace back to it, it was Esther was only there because Mordecai made the decision to take her in as his daughter when she lost everything, right? And that's I don't know. That I think the small things make a huge difference too. Let's see what the chat says. Cecile says, "I don't think we realize the impact we have on people's lives." Yeah. Like, yeah. I don't know. Go ahead, David. I think you were going to say something.
No, I mean, one of the things I realized is even just the short interactions that we have with people when you're passing them in the hallway. Like so I was helping out at the hospital this week, and just those little interactions that you say hi to people, that you recognize people. Because I think what it is like paying attention to someone, even just saying like, hey, it's good to see you or whatever, being present to them humanizes them and allows them to feel seen. And I don't think we take enough time in our world to really see each other. We're just walking past each other. I see this all the time, right? You're walking by each other and you're just looking on your phone, you know, which is kind of the move I used to pull
it's like the
years
fake,
ago.
like you don't even have.
Yeah.
Before it was like you would just look somewhere. You're like, hey, that's a tree right there, man. That's a nice tree. Like, and we do that because. When I was reading through the Hebrew of that passage, and I saw that silent really meant like pretending to be deaf. Really, I was like, man, that's what Jesus was talking about with the Good Samaritan. Like people think that their lives are more of an importance than the next person's, and so we're like, it's easy for us to turn a deaf ear, and it's easy to not realize that plays a part. That's what Cecile's saying is. That plays a part on people's perspective of who God is. Like that's a trace you're leaving behind is seeing that tree or that phone is more important than the person that's in need.
And I know I'm terrible. Well, and I'll say this, like I think, and you can keep sharing the comments here, but I think it's so easy for us to know, like what all the comments are saying right now. We know that's true, but when you're going through your own thing, when you're going through your own stress in your own life or anxiety or worry, you don't want to be that for the people, but. I think for me, what's really like God's really just been like, so over the last 2.5 months, Dave, that we've been going through our sermon shift and now so much more. It's like I you know when you're like preaching your sermon, you're doing the study, you're like, oh, this is awesome, this is great, this is gonna make a great sermon, you know, whatever. And then I feel like God is just like after I'm done, He just puts a mirror in front of me and says,
it's
okay,
dude,
like
that's.
Are you getting it? Yeah. And I think that's the thing that like God has been reconvicting in my life. Like these are great sermons, but you need to live into those moments.
Yeah.
And I think even just with your sermon this week, it's like, and go ahead and go through the comments, but that's what everyone is saying. Like it's those little things. And, you know, Desmond Tutu says it's those little bits of good that you do that make a difference in your corner of the world.
Jamie says making a difference in people's lives to me is just doing or making an attempt to make a smile. Yeah. Like making someone laugh, making someone smile, letting them know that you see them. Like that's a huge thing. Like there's there's been recently a homeless man in downtown Naperville, and he wears a thick winter jacket, and he's super disheveled, very dirty, and he's been sleeping on the street corner. And we passed by him with a dinner, like we were with Nikki's cousins, and we saw him. And when I was driving through downtown Naperville again this week, we saw just another guy, some like maybe 20-year-old, was just sitting and talking with him, and he smells of urine and like feces. But this kid, understanding what he smells like, understanding what he looks like, just sat with him. And I passed by him. I was with my dad, and I passed by him and I saw him talking. We had lunch, me and my father, and then about 30-40 minutes later, I drove by again, and that guy was still with him. And that plays a huge difference. Like, just letting someone know that you see them, like they're noticed. Like, that plays a huge part. Evie says something just to say hi and smiling is enough.
Oh, yeah.
Some years back, I was told a young man in Brazil became a musician because he admired me playing in church. I never thought of being an influence in someone's life like that. Like people are always watching.
Yeah.
People are always taking in information about us, and it's Anderson says it's easy for extroverts. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, yeah, no, I think it is. But I think for me, one thing that I've started to realize is that okay, yes, I would say that I'm an introvert. I think technically I'm right on the line. So I have tendencies of both or whatever. But I think sometimes a lot of it is going back to believing that I can contribute. So believing that, hey, saying hi to a neighbor is a good thing. Whereas, because a lot of times it would be oh no, I'm not going to talk to them because they're busy with their own day. They don't want to spend time, trying to talk to me. They don't want to have to do anything. I'm doing this and so I would justify it that way. No, I'm going to look down at my phone. So I don't have to take away from their day but it's I think it's just, comes down to I didn't see myself as worthy or valuable enough to be able to contribute in a small way, because a lot of times we think it it has to be that big thing or something. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure. No,
kind of like what Regina's saying.
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable with making traces rather than something massive.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the most impactful things I remember were traces exhibited by me or traces I've done towards others. Traces where the attention of others is focused. And I think that's the idea. So traces where the attention is others focused.
And I saw a meme this week, and I keep thinking of it. I don't know, maybe one of y'all shared it or something. But it was and it was where it said, Jesus, he didn't try to pour into the whole world. He poured into 12 men, and then they went out and changed the world with what he had taught them. And so I think it was yes, Jesus did have a couple big stages during his ministry, but for the most part, it was little moments in houses with people, and and he was just making sure his disciples saw it, and he was teaching them, and that was where he spent his time. And then it was and then in Acts, look what happened with that.
Yeah.
And so it's I always think about, I don't know, there's some, it's when you look back, it's oh, you can see clearly now why all these things were happening. And so it's oh yeah, it's we can see clearly why Jesus was pouring into those, because he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And how they were going to do everything and spread everything.
And what's crazy about that is church tradition holds that the last year of Jesus' ministry, he stopped ministering to the public. He just poured into his disciples. You see that he kind of stopped doing miracles for people.
Mm-hmm.
And he just poured into his 12 men and a handful of women. And with that, imagine if we spent a year pouring into someone, what that looks like. I remember, and this is not to toot my own horn. This is just, this is something that I think that is when I look back on it, I realized that the trace that I left that I didn't know was going to be a big thing was, David, you held that we did what would you call that?
It was a focus group.
A focus
group for one of my papers.
Yeah, and Ravi was there, and Kathy and Lisette and Arya, and your question was, who's a hero of Bolingbrook? And Ravi was David's my hero. I'm what? that threw me off guard because I viewed Ravi as someone that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pour into him and pour into him, pour in for this amount of years, and I did, and I guess I didn't realize what that would turn into, and Ravi's, man, I am so proud of Ravi, and to see what he's doing. Like, he's a leader in one of the biggest ministries of our church, the media ministry. And this guy has a credit score that's close to mine. This guy has a full-time job with benefits. He has his own car. We saw the rumor that he might get married soon. Like, there's a lot of things that, and like all of that was because I took this guy out to Popeyes every now and then, and we talked about the Bible. And it was small things, but when we dedicate our lives to focus on at least one person, just pour into one person and see what happens. Like, man, that could leave a huge impact.
And I think before you share another comment here, I think Jamie's is a good comment. What I think what's powerful about where we live in is just and kind of Carol, what you're saying is like the most revolutionary way that we can live as Christians is to connect with other people, because we live in, we're connected online, but like to connect with humans is revolutionary in 2021, especially after the last year that we've lived. And I think that's important for us to really, that's what it means to be the image bearer of Christ, of live how Jesus lived. So
like really connecting with people, like I don't know, as best as you can. Like I think Regina put a good guideline is like, the trace you leave is making sure that your attention is other focused, and you can do that however you seem fit. Like for extroverts, like for instance, me and Nikki are, I think she scored like 98% on the introversion scale, and I was 88% or 89% on the extroversion scale. So like we're so far apart in those personality types, but we have a mailman. And his name is Granger, and he comes by during the pandemic. He was still doing his route, and we were all super scared about even touching mail that people were touching. When these guys were touching mail, everyone's touching, and I was like, we should look after him and say hi. And for me, it was good enough just to say hi to him. And Nikki's like, no, let's put together like a care package for him. Like, let's do that, right? So like for her, it was more. Like for me, it was, I don't know, I would say it's very shallow. I'm an extrovert. I'll talk to him. Like I am the gift.
That's what I was gonna say. You are the blessing, Dave.
Yeah.
You are.
I'm the gift. I will just talk to you. But Nikki's like, no, that's not good enough. We can't just say hi to him. Like, let's give him a care package to let them know that, like, he matters to us. Like, we took our time. Well, she took her time, and she put together a box. Sanitary wipes, which were like impossible to come by. Sanitary wipes, some snacks, and like a couple beverages, and that meant a lot for her. That meant a lot for him. His name is Granger. He's really awesome.
That's cool.
But let's move on to Jamie's comment here.
Image of like DQ popping out of like a box with a bug. I'm
here.
I'm here.
I am the gift. The only thing is, I don't know. There might be more of this comment on Facebook somewhere. But Jamie starts off with, "My mother passed away when I was 17. Wow. That's a heavy start. I rode in the ambulance seeing her take her last breath. Wow. Let me tell you, like, I know what that feels like. When my dad went into anaphylactic shock as well, and I almost thought I was going to see him die in front of me. So that's traumatic. It's such a hard feeling to go through. Honestly, I was at the point of suicidal, but still had faith in God. I actually prayed to God to help me find the best way to end my life. Wow. The one day I realized the day would be that day. I helped an older lady with a grocery to her car. She told me a story along with a joke. The conversation lasted 3 minutes tops, but I laughed. I smiled, laughed, and I'm here today with a strong church family. So I know the power. And I'm assuming the power of small things. Wow, Jamie, that's incredible. Like that. So those are the stories we're talking about.
I know the power of a little love and care goes far.
Yeah. Like that. That's a story that, I mean, I said it in my sermon, But that's a story that that's one of thousands of stories where people were on the edge of ending things, and someone took their time and let them know that they were heard, that they were seen, that they could laugh with each other, and 3-minute conversation changed someone's life. And Jamie's here today because that lady spent 3 minutes with him.
Yeah.
Like go ahead.
No, and I think these are the stories we need to hear more of, because I mean that's what we've realized at here at Bolingbrook. And I think, Dave, you talked about this at the very beginning of your message today, was that we really are asking God, show us how to be the church you're called us to be. Like, we do a lot of things really well, but what is that next step that God is asking us? And I think what we realize is to really empower every single person that comes to our church to take who we are trying to be and say, you are that trace of God everywhere, that you're leaving the residue, the what Paul would call the aroma of Christ everywhere you go. And I think the question that I was talking to Kara while we were watching the sermon was like, are you the kind of person that, because we all know people like this, right? There's some people that when they come to your home and then you hang out with them, you're like, you feel better about yourself, right? Like the energy, you're just like, man, that was really like, wow,
refreshing.
That's great. And then there's other people that we've probably known in our lives where you're just like, gosh, like I feel so drained, and I would never do that again.
Who could ever be?
Not those people.
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is we do have that, and I think I once preached a sermon a long time ago, and it was like the salt of the earth, and so God is asking us to be salt, where the right amount of salt makes everything perfect. But on the other hand, you could be like wasabi, and too much wasabi is really gonna make things worse. I know there's gonna be comments about it. I love wasabi, but there's such a thing as too much wasabi in one bite, But it's like, are you salt or are you wasabi, right? Are you bringing this goodness or not? And that's I think the shift. That's the so much more I think that God is calling us to, is like that every single one of the people that come to church are taking this with you to give to others, never just to hoard it for yourself.
And it's an issue. It's a scary reality, because we get so caught up in our own comforts, and the thought of us losing comfort is scary to us.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thought of being able, like giving up something that benefits me is scary. Like whether that's time, I think the biggest thing is time. Like giving up time. I'm constantly yelling at myself when I got a text from someone or a call from someone that's in need, and I'm like, oh, I need to do other things. And I'm like, hold on. Like, God takes his time with me. I need to take my time with people. Like I have to actually like verbally talk myself out of selfishness, because that's my go-to. That's my immediate go-to, is to want to be selfish. But yeah, like I think it's interesting. Well, one, the wasabi that we eat at sushi, it's horseradish. But I get it. I get the sentiment, because like we have the choice of either being the benefit to someone, where we give them rest and relief, or we take that away from them. Mm-hmm. And I think like this sermon for me was like a constant reminder to say, every day I'm going to give someone relief, at least one person. If that's your wife, if that's your brother, sister, daughter, son, whatever, whoever it is, neighbor, who's gonna get relief today? Mm-hmm. And like you can be that person to be able to do that.
And let me give a caveat. When you pray the prayer, God, let me be, if this is a prayer that might help somebody, let me be the trace of your love and grace somewhere today. Like, God will probably answer you in a way that is going to take you outside of the comfort of your life. And I was sharing this with the staff, just how like there's been several moments, several days in the last couple of weeks where I've prayed that prayer, like, God, use me today in the way that you need someone to be helped or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a prayer we pray all the time, but there's some days, I'll be honest, I don't mean it as much. And I don't mean it in a negative way, but you go through the motions of your prayers. Most of our prayers are the same. But there's been moments, and like without a doubt, it's in those days where I've just super been centered in his presence, that then God forces me to change a fully scheduled day. Kind of like what you're saying, to go and help someone else. And it is frustrating because the sermon still has to get preached on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Board meeting still has to happen. Like all these things still have to happen. But what we realize, and I think you realize this, and I think people in the comments will know, that in those moments when you want to be used by God, even if it's in a little way, like you actually get so much more in return, even when it feels like you're giving up a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's really like, it's what you give away, right? The service, the love, the care that you end up keeping. Like God blesses us. Like we think it's going to require so much, but God actually blesses us in the process. And that's grace. I mean, that's God's love. Yeah.
And it all comes from the realization that I'm not that good of a person as I think I am. Like I have to actually work myself into doing what I'm saying in my sermons. Like yesterday, I preached a sermon at the church, and like for those who don't know, we use the green screen. The way you edit it on the computer, it takes a super long time, and I knew that it would take a long time, but I didn't think it was going to take a massive long time. But after I got done preaching a sermon, I had to preach the kids' sermon, the children's sermon, and so. But then I also saw Leslie in the lobby, or in the fellowship hall, putting together the fireplaces, and she had 4 of them to put together. I'm like, man, if I don't help, like I see Leslie in need of help, and if I don't help her right now, then I am doubling back on my own sermon. Like I'm the one who's turning a deaf ear. So it was like I had to talk myself into making sure that I actually practice when I'm preaching, or else I'll fall into the pit of turning a deaf ear for people. I want to hear what some of the chat is saying. Marie says, the assumptions we make about others, like they don't want to be bothered, could be the same assumptions they make about us, so why not be the one to break the ice?
Exactly.
That is true. Granted, I never think I'm bothering other people, so... which is a bad thing. Nikki's always saying like, I don't want to bother people. I'm like, you're not a bother, and she's like, you don't know that, and I'm like, I guess I don't.
Right.
It's just I don't care.
Or like
if I'm bothering
anything that I say or do is not going to make a difference. So like, I'll just like leave them alone, and whatever.
Yeah. So. But it's like, they might be thinking the same thing about us. So it's like this tug of war between like, oh, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to bother them. They might think I'm bothersome. But it's like, no, that there is a space in there that you can occupy, that relief comes for both of you.
Right.
You just never would have known. You never would have known.
Well, and I think something that has been challenging to me too is like, okay, if I look at the way that God has transformed my life, and if I look at how, like having that peace and everything that I know and believe that God has done for me, why would I not want to just share it? Even if it is just a smile, and I think it is sometimes I get caught up in like, well, if I don't sit down and do the Romans Road with somebody downtown, well,
what was that?
The Romans Road, y'all don't know what that is? Okay, it's like a way of evangelism where you like go through Romans. Oh, I don't remember it, but
I got
Romans.
I
he
got
said
you.
it. He said it.
I don't know the
David,
only some of you will get that joke.
No, I guess it's something in the South. That,
You're not gonna let me back on the show.
I know, but it's thinking that it's like if I don't help you have a conversion experience, then I'm not really sharing God with you. And so, but it is those like little moments, I mean, like that story with Jamie and and like with you and Robbie and I think it is realizing that, and like you were saying, in your sermon about how like, the name of God isn't mentioned at all. And so it's like, you don't necessarily have to say like, oh, I'm doing this because God told me to, or I want to share Jesus with you. But it's that continued relationship that then it's like, they're aware of it,
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's crazy. So Regina says, I agree with Anderson about extroverts. As an introvert, I see an opportunity to quietly do something either impulsively or with planning. It eliminates the barrier of discomfort of being an obvious initiator. And Regina is one of the people that practices what is preached and what she preaches, because she reaches out to people constantly and letting them know that she's praying for them constantly. I don't think there's a day that goes by that she doesn't pray for someone. And I think that's really awesome. Like being able to do that. Anderson pulls out the Hebrew that I spit in the sermon. Be someone's ravak, and the idea of ravak was a breathing space. And when I saw that, I'm like, so whenever I preach, I always start my sermon prep with a prayer to God to help. I have some verbiage that I use, and I say, Lord, help me find the thread to pull us through. Right. So I'm thinking about an eye of a needle, and that eye of a needle is the pathway to heaven, as Jesus says, and it's hard to get through. But I always say, Lord, help me find the thread that'll pull us through the idea of this needle.
Cool.
And so I always pray that prayer. I'm like, it's very short. I say, Lord, help me find the thread, and pull us through. And when I saw the idea of when Mordecai was like, relief will come, and I was like, maybe I'll look into relief. And when I saw that it was a space, it was an actual God saying, I'm going to make your space bigger so you can breathe, so you can find relief. I'm like, man, that's something that I want to do for someone, is give someone relief. And a lot of times that's my wife. I want to make sure that she feels relief when she comes home to some degree. And I don't always do a good job at making sure she feels relief. But I think that's a good standard to at least go by. So be ravak to someone. This is something that's interesting. Serving others when I'm tired, even when I'm tired, always brings a blessing to me. 100%.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what they say, like the psychology of our brains is like, if you are struggling, help someone.
Yeah.
And like, that is what helps to like lift you up. And to me, it's like, it's so amazing that God designed us that way, that for us to feel like, we need something from somebody, and then to say, well, let me help someone else. And then we feel that, love and peace from God.
It's crazy. I've heard some clinical psychologists, and I'm not a clinical psychologist by any means. I'm not a psychologist, period. So I listen. I'm a dilettante when it comes to psychology.
Armchair.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of advice that clinical psychologists have given to people with depression, and people would say, or this guy he said, treat yourself as someone that you would want to see flourish. Like, treat yourself as you would want to see someone else, like you want them to flourish, you want them to do well. Treat yourself that way when you're depressed. And so what it does is it gets their mind to think, okay, how would I help someone that looks like they're in my situation? And it helps them out of their depression, because they're like, I mean, it goes back to what Jesus says, do unto others as you would have done to you. So he got people in, and he's not a Christian, but he understands that there's benefit in being able to think about what someone else is going through and help that person, right? And then applying that to yourself changes everything for you, brain chemistry and everything. So I definitely adhere to that. It's always a blessing when you come out of your own comfort, and even when you're uncomfortable, coming out of your own even discomfort and helping someone into a comfortable situation. Regina, Cecile says Regina is a blessing for all of us. Yeah. Ravak was the pinnacle. That was the one thing I wanted you guys to leave out of. And hey, Anderson got it.
There you go. He gets an A+ for today.
Yeah. Regina's been such a big blessing in my life. She always knows the right words to say and makes me feel loved and cared for.
Well, and I think that, like what people are doing right now, I think that too is something that we don't do enough of. Like how it impacted you to hear Robbie say those words, and it's just to like think about those moments of like not just like encouraging and blessing other people, but like being appreciative. And I've been trying to challenge myself to do that more, is to like let people know, like, hey, listen, that was really like meaningful to me, that you, and you may not realize it. And because I think that just like continues the cycle of continuing people to encourage, like, yeah, you didn't think it meant anything, but like it really did. So
100%.
Then like I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
100%. I love that. Any other final thoughts, David or Everly, about Ravak, about being a blessing, being a trace?
Everly just wants more pizza.
I really just want more pizza. I think everything that has been said is exactly what needs to, and I think it helps even remind us, myself, as a professional, pastor, like it's the little things that make the biggest difference. And it's easy to be too busy, to be too worried about the next thing. And God is just calling us to be present to the people. And I think that's why tonight at 7:30, when we do that church bonfire, come on out. I know that, we've been wanting to connect with each other for the last 14 months, and God is, allowing us this opportunity. We got some more bonfire pits. We're going to have food. You can bring your own food if you want to, right? Like if you're weary of what, of like the hot dogs, or if they're not the right kind, or you want vegan, or we'll have some, but just come and be present to each other. Sit around a bonfire or far from one if you don't want to smell like smoke, and just be there, be present. Like let's just be the church God is wanting us to be. So I think that's all I got, Dave.
I love that. And I guess final thoughts from me, and then we can end here. We can land here, as Adrian always says. So Mordecai, he ends his talk with Esther, and he's like, "Hey, who knows? What if God put you at this time to be the person you are for right now?" And when Jesus is preaching his first sermons to his people, to his disciples, and he says, "The time has come, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, repent and be baptized." What he's saying is, like, there's so more biblical language. In Greek, time is mentioned in two different words. The first one is chronos, which is chronological order, and then kairos, which is like a moment in time. So right now, the kairos is Kara, David, and DQ and Everly in this kairos moment. All of you guys are in this kairos moment, the moment that's happening right now. And so when Jesus says, "Hey, the kingdom of heaven is right now, it's at hand," he's saying the moment is now for you to make a decision. So like for all of you that are watching or that will watch, I guess our encouragement as a church is say every single moment, whenever you feel like whenever you feel your conscience saying, "Hey, reach out to that person," God is trying to urge you to be right now, to like, "Hey, at this moment, be a trace. At this moment right now, be a small relief for that person that you're looking at right now." Whatever that looks like. A smile to say, "Hey, I love your outfit. Hey, hope you have a good day. Hey, how you're doing?" The cashier register person opening a door for you. Anything. It could be literally anything, and God will take care of whatever comes after that. Because Jamie's here because someone decided to be a trace that day, right? So, yeah, just be a trace. Be a trace. Be a trace. Be a trace in your space. Be a trace in your space.
I love it.
All right. Well, that's it, folks. We will see you at 7:30 tonight. 7:30 tonight at the church, 301 East Baton Road, Bolingbrook, Illinois. Come one, come all. Bring your s'mores. Bring your dogs. We have veggie dogs. We have beef dogs. And we have all the s'mores stuff. We have kosher marshmallows. Don't worry, we'll be on the lawn, or we'll be on the parking lot. It'll be a great time. We can't wait to see you guys. All right, Kara, David, you guys take care. Bye, Everly.
Bye.
We'll see you guys in a little bit.